Hey everybody, Ben Cutler here, co-founder and head of sales at Match Data Pro. Today we're going to take a quick look at the Match Data Pro tools, very high level overview, and we're going to produce a series of videos to help explain how things work in each of the independent modules. First off, just want to thank you for your interest. We appreciate that. My team and I have helped develop and service 6 different commercial solutions over the last decade or so. Solutions for fuzzy matching, deduplication, record linkage, data cleansing, data profiling. All of these solutions made very, very simple for anyone to use, right, with any skill level. So everything is no code, point and click, very, very intuitive, very simple to use. These tools are used for data integration, data engineering, comparing 2 different files, comparing 2 different lists. There's a variety of different potential use cases, even data management, master data management. Other keywords include merge, purge. So again, there's quite a bit there. We started Match Data Pro back in early 2023. We've been ongoing development. We launched officially and opened it up to the public in early 2024, and here we are today. And it just keeps getting better, right? Ongoing progress. So thank you thank you very much for your interest. And I'm going to go ahead and walk through this real quickly, and I'm going to show more than I'm going to tell. Feel free to reach out by chat on our website here. You can even chat once you get logged into the tool. Chat, feel free to schedule a call or contact us by email, whatever works best for you. So I'm going to go ahead and walk you through a few of the things that you want to know here as you're getting started. If you take a look up top here, again, this is our website, Match Data Pro. Up top, you can go ahead and log in or register for a free account. Down below here, if you'd prefer to just log in and take a look at the system as a guest user, an anonymous user, without going through like a registration process, click here for instant access. You'll immediately get logged into the system this way, and you'll be able to start kind of playing with the tool, importing data and things like that. You'll have access to almost all of the features. There will be a very limited amount of records per project that you'll be able to import, right? That's a free account that way. Once you've actually created an account, you can actually start subscribing to the solution right from within your account, right? So we'll go ahead and click out of this. We're going to click on login and register at the very top here. That's going to take us to the login page. And what we're going to start with here is the registration, right? So here's the login page. We're going to click on create account. And at this next step here, just a quick form, right? Fill this out. You'll have immediate access to the Match Data Pro system. You'll be able to create and save projects, and you'll have free access to most of the system, right? And most of the tools within the system. Make sure to use a valid phone and a valid email, as these will be used for security purposes. So each time you come back and log into the system, we'll send you a code so that you can log in, right? Smart security. Let's go ahead and take a quick look at that login process here. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and open this up on another tab, on another screen here. I'm going to go ahead and open up my email. I don't have my phone right next to me here. Let's go ahead and grab that code. We're just going to go ahead and copy and paste the 6-digit code into the field here. And again, smart security. Now we're logged into the system. And when you log into the system here, you're going to start at the dashboard. That's what we're seeing in front of us here. Now, I've got my menu up top. You're probably going to see your menu on the left side of the screen. Feel free to make some customizations if you'd like to your account. If you click on this one here, you can check or change the layout, the sidebar type, the color picker, things like that. Feel free to make some changes. I like to keep my menu up top and just allow for kind of a larger screen of the information that I do want to see. Down below here, again, this is the dashboard, and we're just seeing some useful information on the most recent activity. To get started, we're going to click on Project. Here at this next page here, we can see a list of projects that have been created within my account, right? We can see some metadata on these projects: the project name, automation, module count, created date, last modified date, status, progress, and then over here you've got some action buttons. Once we've created a project, we can go back and edit the project. We can run the project, and we can delete or remove the project as well. To get started from scratch, click on New Project. As you can see, I did there. I'm going to move this over here. Now up top here, you're going to notice by default, we give each project a name here. I'm going to say Demo Overview 2. And if you want to change the name of the project, just make sure to click Update. If you click on Expand and Collapse, you're going to see some additional information here, additional like functions and options that you have available to you, including scheduling a project, API-based project execution, and record life cycle, where we can change the frequency of how often the data is deleted. You can also choose not to delete the data from within the system and rather save all of the project data within your own database if you'd like to. I'm going to go ahead and leave it this way. I'm going to click on Collapse here, and we're going to come back to really the primary screen here where we're building a project. Right, so what we're essentially doing is building a project workflow. That workflow is going to contain several different components, starting with the import of data from different sources, files, databases, cloud storage, so on and so forth. We've got lots of flexibility that way. So the project workflow is going to begin with an import. We're going to do some processing, so we're going to set up some rules to do some processing, and then it's always going to end with an export, right? And so what we're seeing here, just by default, when you create a project, you're always going to see the import and the export step because the project is always going to begin with an import and it's always going to end with an export. And then from there, it's what we do in between the import and the export to process the data, right? And then at each step, we're essentially creating a new version of data to work with, which allows for like version control within the system here. So let's go ahead and take a look down below here. The data import, there's a status. This is waiting for configuration, last modified date, and configure. Now, once we start to add more steps, once we start to configure these options, you also see some additional action buttons here that might be view or edit and so on and so forth. Let's go ahead and click on configure to configure the import. Let's go ahead and click on new data source. And then from here, we're going to give the data source a name. We're going to choose from the different connectors here. I'm going to import from file, and we can import just about any type of file. It'll auto-detect the formatting. You can also import like zip files or Excel files with multiple worksheets. You can also import from databases and cloud storage like Google Drive and OneDrive, or even cloud databases. So there are several options here to allow you to import data from different places, right? Let's go ahead and choose the file. I'm going to go ahead and just choose some random file here. Now, my recommendation is check this box down below. This will automatically run the profiling on this data set for you, right? It just saves you a few clicks down the line here. So we set up the import configuration for a single source of data. What we're seeing here now is that we imported a source of data called domain. It's a file. It's an Excel file. We'll see an update to the record count once the system has run the data set here. I'm going to go ahead and click refresh just to get this going. It typically spins up some infrastructure in the background. There might be a few seconds delay. Feel free to click on refresh and start that import process right away. You can see my notifications up top here, just notifying that the data source has started and completed. There are 4 records. The status is done. Progress is 100%. And again, we've got some action items here. We can go in and modify the data source. We can view the data from this data source. We can refresh, delete, or get more information this way. It also started the profiling and finished the profiling as we're speaking here. So let's go ahead and click back to Project Flow. And as I do that, you can see it automatically ran the data profiling on this source of data, and it added this step here sequentially to the project workflow. So now if we look over here, the task has been created, the configuration option is grayed out, and we can go ahead and just view results, right? So let's show results here. That'll take us to the next screen where we can see any profiling tasks that have been configured against specific data sources this way. It's a single task here, a single data source. We've got some metadata around the data profiling job here. And data profiling essentially gives you two types of information. Essentially, it's producing a variety of statistics and some visuals and lists and useful information. And we produce this information at the column level, right? So data source by data source, but we produce this information at the column level. But we can also attach a JSON record, insert a new column and attach a JSON record at the row level, producing the same statistics about that row of data, right? About each row of data within the data set. So I won't go too deep on that here. Let's go ahead and take a look at the action buttons here. We've got a view, a run, and a delete option. Let's go ahead and view the profiling. We don't want to go too deep into any of this. We want to keep this video real brief here. So at the very top here, we're seeing the total number of records in this data source. We assign a score. You're seeing how long it took to process this profiling on this data source. And then down below that, we're seeing accuracy, uniqueness, conformity, and precision. These are 4 different tabs with information. So if you take a look down below here, essentially what we're seeing, top to bottom, are the column names from this data source. And then left to right here, we're seeing different ways that we're kind of measuring or scrutinizing the data set, producing information about this data set. So again, profiling allows you to better understand the content and the structure of large data sets very easily, and allows you to kind of drill into them, right? To look at these data sets from different angles. So again, this is information on the accuracy. We also have some information on the uniqueness, conformity, and precision. And then again, just a quick note before we go back to the workflow here, a lot of this information is very visual. So if we click on some of the different numbers and icons that you'll see in the diagram below here, you'll see that a lot of this is quite visual and very interactive. So we've got a lot more information this way as well. You can also export some of this information. So that is a quick look at the data profiling here. We're going to go back to the project flow. And then if I take a look here, again, I've got import, profiling, export. If I click on this drop down here, I can also add cleansing. I can add our world-class Senzing Entity Resolution, and also fuzzy matching, which allows us to do like deduplication, merge, purge, things like that. And again, we're just going to take a quick look at all of this. So I'm going to go ahead and add each of these modules to the workflow here, and then we'll work through this very quickly. Again, quick explanation so you understand how to use the system. So the next one here is cleansing, waiting for configuration. Let's click on configure. Quick explanations here. Left side of the screen, we're creating cleansing tasks. On the right side of the screen, we're going to see those cleansing tasks. We'll see a list of those cleansing tasks. We've got more information. We can view the changes. We can run the changes, delete the tasks, so on and so forth, right? So on the left side of the screen here, we're essentially looking at a variety of different data cleansing tools, right? And the way that most of these tools work is that we make big broad stroke changes against the data set to cleanse the data set, or to normalize, standardize, or transform the data set. But we allow you a great deal of control in terms of how you make these changes, right? So the goal is to make big changes, reduce the number of clicks, reduce the number of rules, right? Make this very, very simple, but also allow you to apply these changes in a way that only changes the data that you actually want to change, right? So essentially what you're seeing here are some basic tools like remove, replace, copy column, casing options, and filling blanks. Next to that, we have advanced tools, and we've got quite a few there. And then just take a look here. We've got patterns, dictionaries, validation, and parsing tools. So we're going to just give a quick example here of how we kind of set this up. We're going to use the basic tools and the remove function. So here, essentially what we're going to do is we're going to select a data source. We're going to select one or multiple columns, and we're going to select the types of removal operations that we want to apply. And then we're going to save that to the task list. And then later we can run the task list, right? We can edit, we can run, and view those changes. Let's go ahead and take a look at the data source list here. We're going to choose that data source, select columns from that data source. Let's just choose a few random columns here. So again, I can apply one or multiple changes to one or multiple columns, right? So in this case, I'm going to apply the change to these columns, and the change that I'm going to apply here is I'm going to remove leading spaces, trailing spaces, non-printable characters, and maybe a few custom characters. Oops, let's click in here. A few custom characters from those 3 columns. Then I'm just going to save and add that to the task list, which we can now see on the right side of the screen, right? We can see we created a total of 4 and they have yet to be run. So if we take a look at the action over here, we can edit and view some useful information about the tasks that we just created. If you close this, we can also run that. And again, what we do here is, essentially when you configure the import, what you're doing is you're telling the system where to find the data, and we're creating a copy of that data set here within the system. And then each time we make changes to that data set, we're creating a new copy of the previous data set, right? Whichever data set you choose to use to make changes to, right? So this is cleaning here. It'll take just a second to spin up the infrastructure and things like that. And then later we'll have a version 2 of this data set within this project that we can then work with if we'd like to, right? So we could set up another cleansing step and add some additional cleansing rules to the same cleansing, like to the version 2 of what has been cleansed. We can use that to run Senzing or to match and merge, purge, or deduplicate, things like that, right? Let's go ahead and click back to the project workflow here. Take a look. So this one again is still running, and again we'll see some notifications up top here as the job kicks off, as it completes, and things like that. Let's go ahead and take a look at the Senzing Entity Resolution here. Let's click on Configure, and again this is world-class Senzing Entity Resolution. Happy to have a conversation in more detail about how this works and why we partnered Senzing with Senzing to integrate their entity resolution engine, but I'm just going to keep it very high level. We're just going to look at how to set things up. So step 1 here, we're going to go ahead and choose a source of data, and we may have one or we may have multiple sources of data within this project. From there, we're going to see down below that we can kind of manually map the data source headers to the Senzing headers, right? Or up top here, we've got a couple of different options to set this up. We can auto map the data source, or we can auto map all data sources within the system. Let's go ahead and use this one here. That'll make it very simple for us. That will automatically map the column headers from the data source that you imported to the Senzing column headers, making it very, very simple. And then from there, we can edit the mapping that has been automated here. We can also create mapping where mapping might not have been created automatically. We can delete any relationships between like input fields and Senzing headers. So right, we're able to do the auto mapping here because those relationships exist. The system already knows that this header should map to this Senzing field here, right? So again, we can delete that, we can forget that, we can create mapping, we can remember a mapping. So the system is very smart here, and it makes it very easy to work with, the same types of headers over and over again. It'll just reduce the time required here. So we auto-mapped all data sources. Now we're going to run Senzing. You can see here the version 2, that cleansed data set that we just created at the cleansing step here. It has been created. It has also been mapped for Senzing purposes as well. And again, we're just going to choose a data set here to run through the Senzing Entity Resolution engine. At this next step here, we've got some metadata. When the job finishes, we'll be able to view results. We'll be able to create a few different exports depending on what you want those outputs to be. We can also delete the task. We can run the engine again with the same or different data sources. But we're going to go ahead and let this run here, and we're going to go back to the project workflow. So next step here is fuzzy matching. And again, waiting for configuration, we're going to click on Configure. And very simply, this is essentially 3 steps. We're going to choose data sources and kind of configure the way that we want to match records within and across those data sources. If we do have multiple sources of data, we'll need to do some column mapping. And then we're going to define how we want to match the data by creating match definitions and criteria, right? So the goal here is to make this super simple, but also highly configurable, right? So first step here, we're going to add the data source. Again, we can choose from the data sources within the project. We're going to go ahead and choose that cleanse data source. We're going to import that. The configuration is done for us in the case of a single data source. We're going to go ahead and go to mapping here. Again, in the case of a single data source, this is simple. No mapping is required. We can see the column headers here. We're going to go ahead and click on Create Match Definition, Step 3. And from here, essentially on the left side of the screen, we've got definitions, and on the right side of the screen, we add criteria to those definitions. Definitions are or statements, and criteria are and statements. We can set up a match, right? A merge, purge, matching, fuzzy matching, deduplication. We can set up a match with one or multiple definitions, and each definition can have one or multiple criteria. Definitions are or statements, criteria are and statements, right? So let's go ahead and just keep this simple. We're going to add a single definition. We're going to add a single criteria to that, and we're just going to choose a column for matching. We're going to do that with fuzzy matching, and we're going to leave it at 90% for now. We're going to click Save. We're going to click on Run Match, and again, the system is going to spin up some infrastructure. It's going to start creating the job. It's going to process the matching. Fuzzy matching is highly resource intensive, right? It requires a lot of resources. It requires a lot of steps throughout the processing. So doing this with like very, very large data sets, you'll see it can take some time, right? So we're going to go ahead and just let this run. I'm going to go ahead when this finishes, we'll get a view of matching records. We'll get like scores for how similar the entity name values are. We'll be able to export like all matches or all non-matches. We'll be able to deduplicate, like merge purge if you'd like to. We can essentially do several different things with the match results and then extract the specific subsets of data that we want to extract. Beyond that here, while this job is processing, I'm just going to explain that the view button will allow us to do exactly that. It'll allow us to view the matching results. And then just next to that, you're going to see that we are going to automatically generate some match info, which will give you information about the project and all of the match settings and all of the match results. And it produces a nice PDF for you that you can store wherever you'd like to. So the job has started here. The job is also finished, so that's great. Before we click on view, we're going to take a quick look at the match information here. So again, we've got essentially kind of summary information here. If we export to PDF, it's going to automatically generate this report for us. We can see it there, open it up, close this, and we've got some great information about the match job that we just configured and ran, right? Let's go ahead and click out of that, click out of this, click on View Results. And again, this file has 4 records. 2 of those records matched on the entity name. You can see that here. And from here to about here, you can see these are all system fields. Please feel free to reach out if you have any questions. There are explanations behind all of this. These fields are meant to help you to work with the results and to interpret the results, and we're happy to help. So again, feel free to chat with us on the website. You can see that down below here. Even as you're logged in, you can chat with us. Also, feel free to reach out by email, schedule a meeting, whatever works best for you. So here again, we're looking at a view of match results using the fuzzy matching. And up top here, we can export straight away, or if we need to like merge, purge, deduplicate, things like that, we'll be able to do that with the master and overwrite function here. These rules are, again, they're designed to be very, very simple to use, very, very logical, also highly configurable, right? Best in class in terms of other, compared to other technology on the market. I'm not going to set up any rules here. I'm just going to go ahead and cancel out of that. I'm going to create a few exports here just to give you a few examples. So if we have a uh, if we have matching records here and we want to deduplicate, essentially what we're going to do here is deduplicate. You can, and that'll essentially, it'll take each group of matching records and it'll leave one remaining record per group, right? And you can set up the rules in terms of which record remains and maybe even like merge, purge, things like that. But again, feel free to get in touch and we can help you with your specific use case. Essentially a deduplicated view. I'm going to go ahead and choose this one here, and I'm going to create an export task. This will now produce a new data source here within the project, and it'll deduplicate this pair of duplicate records that we can see on the screen, right? So a single record will remain from this group of matching records here, duplicate records. Now the other example is I'm going to give you here is I'm going to say we've done the matching, so I just want to export all records, all matching records and all non-matching records, and no deduplication is required. It's just another quick example here. So I'm going to give it a name, I'm going to choose the export option, and I'm going to create export task. So again, you can see in this scenario, I've created 2 exports from the matching step here. Let's go ahead and click close, and let's click back, and let's go back to the project flow here. And again, you can see we are back at the project workflow, and final step here is just configure the final export. And again, you can export anything that has been imported or created within the system this way. So again, I'm creating an export config, and you can create multiple exports, right? You can create one for matching records and one for deduplicated records and one of the cleanse data, right? And you can see all of those data sources in the drop down here. And then each of those exports can be configured to kind of export the data in different formats into different kind of target systems. So to Excel or CSV or SQL Server, so on and so forth, right? Lots of flexibility that way. So again, we're just going to give a quick example here. We're going to choose that match export, the all records example that we had there. Again, we can choose the connector, the file type. We're going to give it a name, and over here we're going to click on next, where essentially we can preview that information and maybe make some changes if we'd like to. We created a lot of system fields here. If you don't need all of the system fields, you can go ahead and uncheck these boxes. You can preview the data set, and then once you're ready, just go ahead and click on export. All right, we can see up top here the export started and it finished. And then again, we're exporting to a file, so you can see the download option here, and we have now our new file of data. So it's just that simple. We hope this was helpful. Again, didn't mean to go a full 30 minutes here, but you know, there's a lot of different tools within the system here, and the goal of these videos is to help you to better understand how to use the Match Data Pro system. So thank you again for your interest. Feel free to reach out if you'd like to discuss this further. Thanks again, everybody. Have a great day.